It's you and me, no place I'd rather be. Ding dong, hello, let's make this house a home.
We are back and dressed for success.
Yes, our most successful outfit.
Pulling out the leather jacket is what I decided to do. That's how I feel successful. Being a baddie.
What does your shirt say?
Oh, it says rat behavior. It's a rat holding a piece of pizza.
Oh, Sarah.
It's
I just love you.
It's a Julian Salamita merch. It's like one of his first.
This is all making sense then. My couch is so. Can you hear that?
No.
Okay, good. My couch is so squeaky. Like, what's going on?
Amazing. Just want to double check my audio didn't change. Okay. Yay! Well, we're back. And today we're talking about the fear of success. But first, how are you doing, Spencer?
I'm good. I'm trying not to drink so much coffee lately, but that is impossible. I've realized. I don't know. Something's wrong. I need coffee so bad. But no, I've got my water bottle here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to
I like
persevere.
That's a nice cup. That's really nice.
Stars and moons.
Hell
Moons
yeah.
and stars. Thank you so much. The brand is SLM.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it. I'm trying to just drink more water. I
Mhm.
set up the I downloaded this like period tracker app thing. It's
Yeah.
awesome, first of all.
Hell yeah.
I love it. But I set it up to like remind me to drink water because I'm just not doing it lately.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah, I'm also starting to feel really sore. I did like a workout yesterday that's supposed to like be like core focused.
Mm.
And my like sides and my ab muscles hurt really bad.
Oh no.
Oh God. But like it's good. That means it's working, right?
Yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm trying to exercise more. I'm so bad about it.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's like I've had a really weird relationship with my body lately where it's like I like myself, but lately I have not been liking my body, which I don't like because usually I don't give a shit and I love my body and I'm like, whatever. Like I think I'm hot as hell. But yeah, lately I've like when I look in the mirror, I'm just like, ugh, but like I don't like that feeling. So
Yeah.
I'm like, the goal isn't to like change how I look, but I'm like, maybe if I like working out makes me feel better anyway because like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm actively doing something and like I get more tired, so I'm more likely to fall asleep earlier every night. I'm like, maybe if I just like do this and like connect, be present with my body for a few like an hour or something a day, like maybe I'll feel better about it. So so I'm
Hell
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Doing okay.
Good.
Yeah. Definitely getting coffee after this. I'm caving. I'm caving and I'm doing it. I have to.
Yeah.
How about yourself? How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah. What am I doing? I'm just chilling. I feel very present right now. Yeah. That's really it.
Very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been very struggling a lot with feeling present lately.
Mhm. That's what this past week I've just been like so anxious because I've been like PMSing and I find like my anxiety like peaks there and it like is always like it's like digging for something to be anxious about and it stresses me out.
God. It's so funny. I like talking about PMSing because okay, so you know this, but you know what, audience, we're getting into it. Okay, fuck it. We're two women. This shit happens and we're talking about it. So I I had the implant in my arm for the birth control, which I overall liked because I didn't have to think about it. I really didn't get periods that often. The unpredictability was a little annoying, but like and like the actual period itself wasn't as bad as I usually have them, but it was also like it lasted so long. I had one that lasted a whole month. And I was like,
Oh.
I'm gonna fucking lose it. Is this healthy? So
Yeah.
so then I got it taken out of my arm recently because I'm like, I'm giving my body a break because I've also done everything. I've done the shot, I've done the patch, I did the pill, I did the implant. Like, it's just been a lot going on in my body. So I'm like, I need to just like chill. And it was funny. The first period I had after I got it removed was like it was awful because it's like I haven't had a real period in a long time. So I was like, I forgot how like like crazy this is. Like, oh my god, the mood swings and then eating everything and like obviously the actual for real having a period as opposed to the very light one I had during the implant. But it was also amazing because I was like, oh my god, I feel like myself again. Like I feel so good. Like, oh my god, like I was like, I am woman. Like I was really in that kind of mindset that week. And so I was like, oh god, it feels so great. And I never thought I'd feel that way about a period. So I was like, thank God. Like so weird what birth control does to your brain and your body.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely forgot about the highs and lows of the mood swings.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I get like one normal week a month. And that's it. where I feel like this is me normal. And then every time else it's me battling against like being sad or being anxious. And then it's my body trying to kill me and
Yeah.
reeling from that. But
Oh my God. Well, I also feel like I've realized lately I have a very like active brain, like imagination wise too. Like I feel like when I listen to music, my mind's going all over the place and like, or like I just kind of like my brain is just like automatically like I woke up this morning with a song in my head immediately and I was like my brain's just always like da, 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 da.
yeah.
And so like when I'm on my period so my baseline already is like fighting daily to stay as present as possible.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, oh my God, when I'm on my period, it's like, who fucking knows what's going on? Like, I'm not here. I'm disassociating constantly. Like, it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, it was good.
Yeah.
Emotional turmoil and physical pain, but otherwise I'm fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say when for one of our future podcast episodes, I was trying to think of like the topic of like I was trying to research why like why someone gets a song. Like for me, I constantly have a song playing in my head 24/7. Like I wake up with a song stuck in my head. That's the song that's playing all day until I go to sleep unless a new song sneaks its way in. And I was trying to look it up and then it immediately brought up an article about like the potential of that being a like a symptom or like a signifier of OCD, and I went, I'm not going to research this anymore. I was like, I'm not going to. But I was like, of course it is.
I'm not surprised. When I was doing therapy in Illinois, they wanted me to do like some tests for it because she's just like,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, they sent me to like what's it called? Psychologist. I don't know. But they felt strongly that's what I had, but I was like, I'm not ready to deal with this. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Fuck it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there was a time where I wanted to know everything. I wanted to like know everything that was wrong with me, and now I'm like, I think I recognize the things I experience are symptoms of something, and that's I'm gonna leave it at that.
For real. Oh God. Do you like imagine music videos in your head when you're listening to music?
Sometimes I think right now normally like if like right now because I've got Sabrina Carpenter's Please 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 stuck in my head, so I have her music video playing in my head as well, and that's at the same time. I feel like when I was younger I did a lot more like music video imagination, where now it's more just the same loop of a song playing over in my head while I'm just doing other things.
Yeah, I feel like I never got rid of that part of my kid brain. Like every time I listen to music, I'm like playing my own music video in my head or like, making up my own stories. I've really realized lately, like I feel like the imagination part of my brain is still very like young and it just like runs wild. And I've been wondering lately if that's why my anxiety is so bad. Because the imagination is so like just think of all the terrible things that can happen.
That's like, literally about to go to bed and I'm like, well, what about this and this? Have you considered this?
I watched a TikTok the other day that made me laugh so hard. It was like, I can't remember exactly what the caption or like the text on it was, but it was like, my friends realizing I'm way more anxious than they know how to deal with because I told them I used to say I love you just to the open air before I went to sleep because I wanted my last words to be good ones. In case I didn't wake up. I was like, I felt so personally attacked by this TikTok. I was like, I didn't do that, but I have so weird quirks like that where I was like, I'm so glad I'm not alone, but also like I'm so worried
Yeah.
about me.
I've definitely done that. I remember having those types of thoughts where I'm like, this is like this needs to be the final thing I do.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Are we okay? I don't think we are. I think something's
No.
wrong.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's probably fine though.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm just strange and I'm not okay. I'm not okay and it's fine.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Sips water.
Ugh. Okay. Well, yeah, today's topic is about the fear of success, which is something I feel like you've brought up a few times when we've talked, and it's been like on my mind as well. So I think it'd be a good thing for us to get into and just talk about what we're feeling and why the hell this is.
Yeah. I'm scared. Yeah, well, because I was thinking about it because a few episodes ago, I don't know when, when we were talking about, I think we were just doing like a general mental health thing, right? Didn't we just do like a general something? Did we have a theme? I don't know. We talked about mental health though. I
Yeah.
had done research for that episode, focused mostly on like procrastination. But because I was doing research on that, it was like leading me into like it was suggesting stuff like that for fear of success.
Ah,
And
yeah.
I was like, oh my God. And I've heard people like in my daily life recently, like, because well, I talk with one of my friends about this out here a lot. It's the one who loaned me the ACOTAR books actually, about just being like, I'm like so afraid to like do anything because like I don't want it to go wrong, and like knowing people also who like are where I hold on. Let me put this. Holding this water cup is throwing me off. Like knowing I used to be so much worse about it, knowing where I'm at now, and then also meeting or hearing about people who are where I was, it's interesting to see. Like I've been reflecting a lot on like what did I do to just grow even to this point. Like I have so much more room to grow, but like just seeing like the progress I have made, I'm like, whoa, like what did I do? Like how do I keep this up?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really long way to get there. I don't know what's
No.
going on.
That's fine.
No coffee in me.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that I am someone that loves to like start things and do things, but then like the idea of finishing it is so stressful to me. And like it's not even like a what if I fail, because like I don't care if I fail. It's the what when it's done, then what? I don't know.
That's interesting because I am afraid of failing. I don't want to fail. I am such a perfectionist in some ways where it's like if it doesn't go right the first time, I'm never doing it again. And I started to notice it strangely enough because of how I play video games. I'll play them as far as I can and then I won't finish them. I don't want to finish them. Or,
Yeah.
like even with my Animal Crossing Island, like if I don't like something, instead of just like trying to like fix it now, I'll just blow up the island and redo everything. I'm like I'd rather just start over. And I was like, I'm thinking too much about this. There's no way this is an indicator of like life, but I've been noticing it more and more. I start things and don't finish them because I don't want them to go bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've done like I recognize the pattern of like I just don't finish projects, and I'm like, okay. But then like when I work on new projects, I'm like, I don't care if it doesn't go well. But then it's like it's still hard for me to reach that gap of like finishing it. Like even at work when I have like projects to do, I love the organization of it and the making the plan to complete the project, but then doing the activeness of like actually completing it is like it stresses me out. And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, and that feeds into what I was talking about with procrastination too, is like it's it's almost like a survival response to the stress of actually doing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing you have to do this thing to get this thing done, suddenly there's so much pressure. And because the pressure is mounting so intensely,
Mm-hmm.
your body is like, it's like almost like your ancient brain being like, this is a threat, you know? You have
Yeah.
to like, let's just put it
Yeah.
off because this is scary. But then it's such a bad cycle because the more you put it off, the worse you feel.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
frustrating to me too, because I know once I finish something, even if it's like not quite to the standard I want it to be, once it's done, I still feel like accomplishment. Like, because I did it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh. So it's just, I get so angry with myself.
Yeah. I think I'm realizing my fear of finishing something is like and maybe this is for like bigger things versus smaller things, but like once it's finished, the trajectory of life can change. Basically. Like it can either like I think I enjoy I think my body is constantly trying to stay in where it is now and stay comfortable and complacent, and like if it likes where it's at now, it's good to stay here. And then if I try to reach like one of those like bigger dreams of like doing things like the show that I was working on, which I haven't put on. So and and I think it's one of those things of like once that show is put on, that show is now it now exists, it's been put on. What's going to happen after that? And like I think that the change of that and what that can change to freaks me out a lot. And it's like that challenge of getting out of your comfort zone, but it's like you always have to constantly push yourself out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. This is going back to that thing I was saying in the other episode. Like the only way out is through. Like you sometimes you kind of just have to fucking force yourself. 'Cause that's the other thing too, is like I struggle so much with not doing things well the first time. Like it is world ending to me. Like if I can't do it the first time right, I'm useless. I'm like I'm not motivated. I never do things right. Like it is so end of world for me. However, I don't think anyone expects anybody to do things perfectly the first time. And I honestly think that is like a really toxic and unhelpful way of thinking. Anyway, to expect so much of somebody doing something new for the first time to do it right immediately. Like awesome if you can, but if not, that's not surprising, you know? And the only way you get better at something anyway is to continuously do it. Like when we were talking about making friends last episode, it's like as scary as it is every time I put myself out there, I also feel like it gets a little bit easier because you know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me how our brains are like, no, this is always going to be terrible. Always.
Yeah.
Every time.
That's true. Yeah, and I've tried to change it with my brain, but I feel like because like one thing I hate doing is like making phone calls, and my brain acts like it's the worst thing you could ever ask me to do is to make a phone call. Like I will try to find reasons to not make a phone call. I will find any other route. If I can go and travel to I actually don't want to travel either. If I can write a letter, I'd rather go to the post office and send off a letter than call a place. But
oh my God.
and like once I've made a call, I feel so like the phone call's great. It's so fine and easy. I'm like that was easy. And then like it's just so it's so hard to work past that of like I forgot what my brain stopped.
Your sim action was canceled.
It was.
I think I get what you mean though. Yeah, it's like, and I feel like almost too, it's funny. even in the accomplishment, sometimes I feel shame because I'm like, see, why didn't you just do this sooner? Like,
Aw.
I don't know, Sarah.
Yeah.
But also, it's interesting too to think that not everybody works like that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there are some people who are like, I feel like, who almost have like, I don't want to say no fear, but almost like they go into things with no fear. You know?
Mhm.
They're just like, yeah, fuck, I'm open to trying, absolutely. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
Mhm.
haven't you considered the implications? Haven't you thought about what could go wrong? What do you mean you're just gonna try? You're just gonna try? What's wrong with you? It's like that's probably the healthiest mindset to have.
Mhm. I feel like I've been, because I've done a lot of improv courses and stuff, I think that's really helped with that as well, because it's like in improv you can't, like, it's not going to be perfect ever. So I feel like that's like really like at least helped me kind of like get used to like just doing something. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I also like this idea for like simple things. When I was younger, and my friends and I were preparing to go to a Jonas Brothers concert, and we were making like concert tees with like the like t-shirt paint and stuff. And
Yeah.
I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to look like it came out of a shop, which obviously it did not. But like everything was going well, but there was one thing that like smudged, and like that was like for me like earth shattering for a moment. And then like I had this thought of like, or maybe it had to be, I think it was me. And I was like, it's just like, it's not even that it's not ruined. It's just like it's homemade. And then like for like having that thought like made it more special again to me, where I was like, actually it makes it like unique and like it's okay. So I have that like it's a homemade mentality, I feel like, with a lot of things that I do as well.
Yeah, I'm trying out this new way of thinking about things where it's like, if I'm stressed about something, it's not because it's hard. Well, maybe it is hard to do, but it's not because it's not because of any negative things I have about it. It's actually the opposite. It's because it's so important to me, you know? Like I want
Yeah.
to do it and I want it to get done. So it's like I'm trying to then focus it instead. So like for instance, I'm looking for a new apartment, right? And I was applying to this place the other day, and I was like kind of putting it off finishing the application, like taking my time
Yeah.
with it. And I was like, why though? Like I just like it's all information about me, which I already know. And like it's like just do it, just apply. But it's like the nerves, like what if they reject it? What if this isn't good enough? What if blah 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 like all this just like stupid talk in my brain. But when I like went for a walk in the middle of it, so I was like, I need to get out of the house. And while I was walking, I was like, I'm stressed about this because I really want this to work out and like I want it to go well, but it can't have the chance of even going well if I don't do it.
Yeah.
And then I came home and like just like, all right, I'm submitting it, I'm done, and just like finished it in 20 minutes. And like I was like, I'm not doing anything else until I finish this. And
Mhm.
so I think it's, but like that's also the rub too, is like changing your mindset is work, which it's good work, but it's work.
Mhm.
It's not instant gratification, which like we want.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying too about like even seeing my own progress. Like it's so funny in the moment over these couple of months when I was like working on being okay with saying no to things or being okay with, you know, being a sensitive human being or being okay with like, you know, whatever I'm working on. In the moments throughout it, I'm just like, this is never gonna work. Like I'm never gonna get there. And I would have these little moments of like success throughout, but then it would just still be like, God, I'm never gonna be better. But now thinking back to like when I started therapy like a year ago and seeing how much I've changed, I'm like, I like laugh. I'm like, oh my God, like it's so hard to see in the moment.
Yeah. Very true. Is there some something you've done that you can think of that like was successful? Like can you think of things you've done either creatively or just like in life in general that you're like, oh, I did this successfully?
this is like making me think of that moment in Drag Race. Oh my God. Where she's like, what do you do successfully? Quickly. God. Yeah, well, I would say like my personal growth. Like I was talking to my sister about this too. Like I used to feel like I would had to say yes to everything someone asked of me because otherwise they wouldn't like me. And like I had to get everything done quickly. Obviously deadlines are a thing, but also like just this idea of like nothing else matters. Whereas lately I've been trying to shift, well, through this therapy process, really, I've been shifting my focus to be, it's okay if I take my time with things. It's okay to say no to things. It's okay to express my feelings. And if someone has a negative reaction to that, that's not on me. It's not as that for them to deal with. Like I have to live my truth and speak my truth too. And like we talked about, I think a little in that mental health episode, like I had a talk with somebody that I was dreading because I was like, this is just going to go wrong. And it was a hard talk, but it didn't go anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to. And that felt like a success to me. Like that was the first time I feel like I vocalized my feelings in that way and was proud of how it went. And lately I've been feeling like successful in the sense that I've been actually like actively setting aside time to like I'll like go somewhere else outside of my apartment with my laptop and be like, for an hour I am going to work on my acting stuff. So like applying to auditions, updating my resume, picking my classes, blah blah blah, and even though it's not like a huge thing is happening, just the sense of even doing work towards the goal feels successful to me. So I'd say things like that, if that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? Have you had anything like that recently?
I think moving to this new place, like I feel like where I'm at in my life right now, I feel like has been the biggest success. Come on. I feel like I'm getting emotional again. No, that's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. It's your truth.
I'm so tired of crying. Getting so emotional. But I feel like the work that I put in to over like the past, I think, okay, 2023 for me was a year of like survival, of like getting like myself back on my feet and like finding the right job for me, finding the right place to live, all that stuff. And so that whole year up to now has like just built up to somehow like setting myself up to being able to afford to live in a place on my own, in a place that I've always wanted to live, and working a job that I really like, and like having such amazing relationships around me as well is like, I feel like I like made it, and it feels so like good, and it's really, really nice. And then there's that haunting feeling in the back of like, I don't want to move it. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to change this. So I'm like, but I need to like, like keep moving forward and like building on top of this. But I'm like, I feel like I'm at the top right now. And I'm like, there's nowhere else for me to go. And I'm like, oh God. But I'm very happy with like where I'm at now. I'm like seeing things like all of a sudden lay out for something that I've been working towards, like whether it was like subconsciously and like some things were conscious, and like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I did it, and that's like really nice.
Oh yeah. I think part of the way we probably change our mindset is celebrating the little things like that too. It's just like progress is progress, no matter what it is. Like,
yeah,
you have to celebrate the little things because like it's all the tiny steps that get you there. Yeah.
And now time for a break. Our breaks have a visual component that can be viewed on our YouTube channel.
Hello. So for my project that I'm proud of, I became an aunt recently, and so I've been working on scrapbooks for the babies because there's 2 of them, and I'll just show you a little bit of one of them. So they come with like little notes from me, like I'm putting pictures in there of our family. I did like entries of how big they were. So this one, they were the size of a strawberry. This one, they were kicking around in there. So just like little scrapbooks like that. And now that they're born, I'm putting photos of them in there, and they're becoming more personalized as it goes. But this is just such a fun way for me to be creative too, and draw and have fun and have them have something tangible of me since I live so far away. So this is a project that I'm proud of right now.
Hello. There is one project I'm working on right now that I am very excited. I'll be very proud of once I've finished it, which is I'm crocheting a sweater that is over the garden wall themed. It's very much still in beginning stages. I'm making them out of granny squares. So this is the beginning of a sleeve, which will go this way. It's gonna be a big chunky sweater. And I'm gonna attach different, images and themes, like objects to each square that have some symbols from the show. So this is the sleeve I've got. This will be the front part of the sweater. So it'll be more like a wrap. So there won't be a front, it'll be an open kind of sweater. So that's the project I'm in the midst of doing that I've been working on. I put it on pause for a few months because I was intimidated by it, but now I'm excited to get back into it and just try it and see what happens. So that's a project I'm working on that I'm going to be excited to finish. And then I also just want to say that I'm really proud of the project that Spencer and I are working on with this podcast and getting it up and running. I'm really excited to just be able to share this stuff with you and see where it goes. And those are the projects I'm most proud of right now. And now back to the podcast.
I just get frustrated because I don't understand where I understand, but I also don't where it comes from. Like, I love acting. When I'm doing shows or stuff like that, even just working it like as tech or something, that is the time where I feel the most like myself, the most in my element, the most like this is exactly the kind of thing I need to be doing. Like, I want to be doing like what I was made to be doing. Not to like brag, but like that's just like the feeling I get, like I'm like, this
Absolutely.
is right, this is what I want, this is what I want to do with my life. So then I get so frustrated when it comes to the little things like that, like going to a class or submitting for an audition, doing a self-tape, like figuring out my headshots, anything related to it, what that I have to do. Like, why? Like, I get so annoyed. Like, this is something I love, and what I'm like, because then I like try to think about my career, like, right, like where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And the hope is to, like have in my vision of a successful acting career, But like the idea of like ending up on like a big feature film set one day, or having like a TV role, or even doing like live theater and stuff like that, like having an actually active role out of this like college-esque environment in the actual real world where I'm doing it feels scary to me, because I'm like, what if I find out I'm not good enough, or like I'm not going to be as successful in this as I thought I was going to be or want to be, because I love it so much. It's like, I don't know, I guess the idea of like finding out maybe it's not the right thing, even though it feels so right, is terrifying to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I think the way you were describing it reminded me of like 10 seconds ago when we were talking about that fear of not getting it right away. And so like I think that like, especially when you care so much about it and want it, like what you want from it, and not being able to deliver that right away, or the potential of not being able to deliver that right away, is like so scary. And I feel like I definitely felt that in like acting classes that we took, of like, I just want it to be right, and if it's not, then like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And I found like learning, like, even though things weren't always perfect, like there's still growth, and like you're still moving towards where you want to be. Yeah.
It's interesting too, like talking about acting is so funny to me also because it's literally just like an expression of the human experience, and everyone experiences life and reacts to things differently. So I, I want to try to find some comfort in this idea of like, obviously you glean a lot of things from the script and the text, and you develop this character and you know certain truths about them. I think I get scared, like, is my approach wrong, you know?
Mm,
But it's also
mm-hmm.
like it can't be at the same time in a way, because I am a human as well and like experiencing life, and I have like you know, you can empathize with people and like kind of understand where they're coming from, and it helps you develop that character. So it's like you almost can't fuck it up. Like obviously
Yeah.
there are ways to like not do well, but you know, it's literally just about being truthful as a human. And I think that's probably the scariest part of all, is like you have to be so ready to be vulnerable in a way that I don't like being, hilariously. So it's just
Yeah.
like, I don't know, such a strange, but it's also like, I feel like I've loved acting the most and done my best acting when I was just like, fuck it, whatever comes out, comes out. And like, eh, I'm having an emotion right now and I'm going with it. And it's just like, it's so rewarding. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like I wish I could inject that into my daily life. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. Acting is just so weird. Like, it's just this
It
like
is.
intangible kind of concept you have to train yourself to do, but it's like just by being truthful about it, you're already doing it
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. I saw a clip of Ryan Gosling being interviewed, and they asked him, they were like, how do you get into, or what do you do to get into character? And he was like, in my years of acting, never have I once gotten into character. He was like, that's just not a concept that exists for me. I'm just saying words. And I was like,
Oh my god.
I feel like that's so great to hear, because I feel like a lot of actors are like, oh, I'm getting into character this way, and you gotta like become something. And like he's just like, nah, I'm just like doing it. Or like just speaking. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And it's so interesting too, because yeah, like I've also like known people who have like whole, I mean, even I sometimes would have pre-show rituals, you know, just to like really focus yourself up, or like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, there are definitely times where I'm standing there being like, I'm just speaking words and this is not good and I know it. Because I'm like, I feel like I'm not really here. But like
Yeah.
it's interesting, like the different levels that I've seen actors kind of go to feel in character. But like, yeah, it's like whatever works for you. Because again, it's you're just portraying the human experience, which is like so vast and dynamic already. That's
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. As long as you're opening yourself up as much as you can, I feel like you really can't go too astray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah. I've been wondering recently, 'cause I remember one of our teachers would always talk about like how important it is to experience life, and like how like because we were just like, 18, 20-year-olds in college, he'd be like, you haven't experienced life yet, so you don't know what you're doing, basically. And like for me, because I've been away from like acting for so long now, and like I feel like it's become something that's like taken such a step back, but like I'm like very curious to see like if I were to pick up like scripts again and like looking into characters, having gone through and like experiencing more of the real world of like what real people do, I'm like I'm wondering like how that would change like the art of acting for me, or like how that comes out of me. I'm very intrigued by that.
I love that you just said that, because I've actually been thinking about this without realizing it. Like the other day when I was like kind of in my feelings about like the babies and
Mm,
like just thinking about like how I like want to put myself out there more in general and whatnot, like just like reflecting on my life in general. Like I feel like since I started working on myself more and being better at talking to myself about emotions and being open about it and stuff like that, and you know, putting myself out there and starting to have more experiences, I feel like I watch like shows and movies and plays and whatnot differently now. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I'm like, oh, I recognize why they made this choice as an actor, or like,
Yeah.
like it's I think it's so true. Like obviously there are some things you should not experience, I feel like, or like are really hard to experience, and it's like you shouldn't actively seek out some things, like you just got to let life happen.
Mhm.
But I think that is true, like having as much interaction as you can, I guess, with the world and people in general
Yeah.
totally feeds it. And I think maintaining a good like sense of self and good relationship with yourself too also helps kind of bring that to life, because I feel like since I've been doing this personal work and like trying to put myself out there more, I actually feel like I like practice monologues a lot more. I actively seek out scenes now to like read through them. Like I want to do
Mhm.
scene studies now more, because I'm like, I feel like I reflect on my acting in college and I'm like, oh my God, I would have done a million things different now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's so true. Like, uh, but I don't want to put myself out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is the problem. This is the worst part, is like knowing all of these things at once and then being like, so now how do I move forward? Like
Yeah. Yep. And I've always gotten to the part where I'm like, okay, like I can plan out like things to work on, like actual physical steps of like looking for those monologues and scenes and like maybe even recording them. But then it's like when it comes to the recording them, I don't want to. I'm like, please don't make me actually do this.
yeah, I self tapes too, just like are kind of like the bane of my existence. Like
Really soul
because
crushing.
well, I like love that like I can do it on my own time, kind of,
Yeah.
and I can do it until I feel like, oh yeah, that was my most real, or I felt the best about that one or whatever. But
Hmm.
it also gets so dangerously into the like, well, I can do a million takes before I send it in. So then you're
Yeah.
just sitting, I like sit there and watch back. I'm like, I don't believe that, or that was bad, or I want to make a different choice there, blah, blah, blah. And it's just
Hmm.
like, oh my God, it's such a fine line to walk.
Yeah. I just had a, had a realization. Do you, with that, like, fear of like not being vulnerable within a character, do you find because I've realized now in while in school, I really struggled to find like when I connected to a character, I felt that connection and like by the end of senior year, I was like starting to understand the difference of when I was connected and when I wasn't, and I could really feel the struggle of not being able to make that connection. And I realize now it's because of that fear of vulnerability that there was a part of me that was shutting down to like not release that. um which is wild. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, is that like the same kind of experience you would have of like a shutting down of a thing, or do you experience something else when you're like facing that?
I just think I reflect now on some of my roles and some of the choices I tried to make and then was steered away from. And in the moment
Mm,
being like mad about it. But now I realize it's because I was like I was not making the choice for that character. I was making that choice for me. It was
mm,
like me being like, I don't want to like say, oh, they made the decision for this reason, because like I was almost trying to fit my own narrative into it because it was going to
mm-hmm,
touch on something I didn't want to deal with. But then,
mm,
as our teachers were doing, which I think was kind of right of them to do, it was like, well, why don't you explore this other option? Because you're kind of, it's not you, right?
yeah,
It's you draw on yourself obviously to give it life, but like I don't think it's about injecting your actual personal experience into it. It's
yeah,
just about, I know how this feels. And
mm-hmm,
so, how can I use that to bring this on?
yeah,
You know? So, yeah, I would definitely, like I was saying, in the moments where I felt the best about a character is in the moments where it was like blank, just like not letting anything come through my mind other than what was happening in that moment and just going with it, and then realizing after the fact, oh man, like I felt this way because Spencer had this thing, you know? It's
Yeah.
the fuck.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like that's like it's held me back so much in the sense of I feel like when that connection is made, it can be so draining sometimes to like put what you're feeling on that like I don't want to feel that way again. again. So there's that like fear of vulnerability again of like I like or shutting down, I guess, of like I don't actually want to do that, which then like makes it harder to um go after or what am I saying? Uh per, per, there's a word I want to use. It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Pursue?
Yes, yes. Yeah, there was like a good chunk of time where I just didn't want to pursue acting because I was like, I don't want to feel this battle of like trying to push past the shutting down of vulnerability and then like what it actually feels like to be vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, you're making me think of this role I did in school through one of the student organizations. It was very intense emotionally. There's only 3 of us in the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a lot of it was close quarters, you know, having to deal with all these emotions. And I remember there was one rehearsal. I still think of it because it was one of the best rehearsals I ever had. But it was so hard. Like when we were done running through the show, we all just laid on the floor. I'm not kidding, for like a half hour, just like breathing. And I remember our director walking through and just being like, it's so like it was almost like at the end of yoga when you lay in dead man's pose and
Yeah.
the instructor is like, breathe out, like I'm gonna come around and put oil on your head. It was like that kind of thing, except the director was just like, let them go, like let the person go, like just breathe, take your time, and just kind of like let us do our thing. And it was so exhausting afterwards, but now it was so rewarding because yeah, it sucked and it was hard to like let that go afterwards, but like that's kind of how I knew that I was in it. And
Yeah.
I think you just have to find the line between knowing how to let it go and knowing how much time you need to let it go. Like you can't take it with you afterwards, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I almost feel like it's kind of like a therapy session, right? You just like check in, you let your guts spill, you kind of let yourself heal in that moment, and then you gotta continue forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's hard. I mean, and I feel like fear of success is like universal, right? But there's just something about with acting where it's kind of like sort of intangible in a way because you're an experience. You yourself are an experience
Mm-hmm.
happening on stage. It's just like, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? I don't know. You just don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're just so on display in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm feeling drained right now.
Me too. Well, we didn't solve the case this time. we didn't crack the code. Shit.
Well, and I think that's such a good way of saying it too, is like it's not something that just gets fixed, you know, your fear of success. You have to actively work against the fear all the time.
And I also wonder, I've been trying to frame it as like instead of pushing against something that's so hard, instead like well, I mean, maybe you are, but like pushing it, but like when those moments that you do, taking in how that feels and like trying to like learn to like enjoy that feeling, I guess, of like once you've pushed through that, been successful or whatever, taking those like moments, like small moments of success and like building on that feeling to just kind of try to keep the momentum going, I feel like is what I've been trying to do. But I feel like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger of a, of a thing to push through.
But I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, part of what I'm trying to do is, like I said before, like focus more on the positive aspect of it. Like, yes, I'm stressed about this, but it's because I care and I want it to go well, and that's okay. But it will only go well if I try and do it. And then also just consistency, like making a schedule for myself. Like, I'm doing this for an hour. I'm doing it every Saturday. I'm doing like, and keeping, because that's the other thing about motivation, right? Is like it comes and goes, and you're not. I actually just listened to brain. Oh my god, hold on, I'm reforming. I started to listen to, because it's really long, the interview, I think it's the Apple interview with Billy and Phineas about Hit Me Hard and Soft,
Yeah.
and how they changed up the way they did this album this time, whereas like they'd be working on something, and then as soon as they like hit a wall or it wasn't fun anymore, instead of just trying to push through, Phineas was like, okay, let's work on something else, and then they'd like switch to a different song or whatever. And I've started trying to do that now too, because I love that idea. Like, it's like work on the thing as long as it feels good, but as soon as it doesn't, you have to do something else, because otherwise you're going to develop resentment and negative feelings towards that thing you're working on.
Yeah.
And there's always other things to do. So it's like, I'll be like, working on like researching an acting class, and I'll like get a few ones like that I'm thinking about, right? I'm like, okay, I like these 3. Here's why. And then as soon as it starts to feel like stressful, I'm like, okay, let me switch over. Now I'm going to work on this script I've been writing on. And then it's like, and I'll do that. Okay, I've hit a wall with the script. Let me move on to this song I'm writing. And it's like, because then eventually I'll come back around to the other thing, and I've come at it with fresh eyes, and like, okay, now I'm ready to decide on something. So it's like, you have to like just make sure you like kind of schedule yourself out that way, and just be consistent with always coming back to it when you're ready, as opposed to like, I'm gonna just leave it even if I am ready because I don't want to do it yet.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to do it because I'm scared.
Yes, definitely. And I also think there's merit to stepping away from something and leaving it, because it's always cooking in the back of your mind as well. Which I found, like, especially when I was working on writing my own show, that was something where, like, even now, because like I am going to come back to it, and it's like it's cooking in the back, and then like when I'm ready to approach it again, like that's when more things will flow through and it won't be as forced.
Yeah, sometimes you have to step away. Sometimes you're too close to something to realize what you need from it. Like, yeah, like I especially find that when I'm working on music, like I'll get an idea for a song, and I'm like, write it down immediately, and I'll write as much as I have, and then I'm like, okay, I'm trying to push through and finish it, and I'm like, I don't like what I'm writing, I need to come back to this later. So then I'll take a shower, I'll play some video games, I'll do something else, and then I'll be like, oh, now I have an idea. So it's like, I feel like it's almost necessary. You have to have that reset in your brain. And not feel bad about taking breaks. There's a difference, I think, between taking a break and putting something off.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll get there, though. Yeah. I think you just have to focus on the positive part of it and give yourself some grace.
Yeah. Definitely. This is making me want to get back into acting again.
And I'm like, is the episode done? I need to go do something right now.
Yeah. I gotta go find some scenes to record.
Yeah. I really actually too have found like mantras have been really helping me lately. Like I keep saying that one, the only way out is through. And what if this is the good thing happening right now?
That's the one I've been taking on. Yeah.
Yeah, that interview really changed my brain. Thank you, Trixie. So it's just like, yeah, I honestly think like having little things like that has been really helping me too. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take it till you make it.
Hell yeah. Just pretend that like the fear of success is like being in a fun house, and it's scary, but people have fun, I guess, when they come out of it.
Hence fun house. Yeah, again, like I said, like it's as hard as something is, as soon as it's done, you always feel better once it's done.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
No.
Oh, good. Someone's like talking on a megaphone outside.
Hell yeah.
What's going on here? All right, where do you think we were today? What room were we in?
Ooh. Oh God. I feel like we were like, okay, picture this. We're in a kitchen, but there's a kitchen island. And so like we're like cooking dinner, but also like chilling on the island, like drinking wine and talking business.
I live. Yeah, that makes me think of our senior year apartment because it was like totally open floor plan, but we had that island like right in
Yeah.
the center of everything, so we would all gather around it and talk.
Yeah, that was great.
That was so fun. Man, I miss Illinois. I never thought I'd say that.
I know, it sucks.
Oh man. Alrighty, are we done, I think?
Yeah, let's end this one here.
All right. Well, bye, Sarah. I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
See you soon.